Hello, Bev. It's Wendy Wu here. Um, I'm I'm hoping to explain to you about fabrics that I use for my bio bags and wiggly bags, and to show you some examples. I was really hoping to do it by my sewing table because obviously I have my sewing stuff by my sewing table, but I'm in quite a lot of pain, so I'm in bed, which is where I spend quite a lot of my life. Um, but not many people do a sewing tutorial from there. Anyway, I am so touched by your offer to buy me some fabric and send me some fabric. And at first I thought I ought to refuse because you do so much for post pals already. But then my husband said, you offered, and it's for the post pals, and if you want to do it, he thinks I should accept gracefully. I'm not very good at accepting stuff. I'm very good at giving things away, and I'm not very good at taking. But it's ever so kind of you. And what I thought was best was no one's ever offered to buy me fabric before. A couple of people have sent me fabric that then hasn't been useful to me, and I cannot stand wasted money. It really upsets me if people waste their money. So I thought I would. It's a bit like writing a Christmas list or a wedding list, which I don't really agree with, saying I want this and I want that. But there again, you don't want to waste your precious energy and your precious money and your precious time, and then for me to, for me not to be able to use it. So what we start with is, I'm going back on what I said on my Facebook thing, 100% cotton. I'm always safe with that. It's always good quality, as long as you get it from a fabric supplier. Don't be tempted to buy it from anywhere that's selling it for crafting purposes, like hobby craft or the works. I mean, some of their stuff is okay and some isn't. Some is it's just useful for sticking into books. It's not really good for sewing. So you need to go to a material shop. I haven't been to a material shop for about a year and a half. I just can't get out. So I get most of mine online. And I use either Oh So Crafty, which is based in Kidderminster. And as long as I keep my order just under £15, it's only a £1.50 postal charge, so that's quite good. And the other one is a lady on Facebook called Sunnyside Fabrics, Lisa Wild. And her fabrics are a bit dearer than Oh So Crafty, but she does have some lovely stuff. And she's very generous to me. She knows what I use it for, and she'll quite often put little samples in. So that's very kind of her. So when he's talking about cotton, I don't know if you've ever sewn or not. I have no idea. But there are different weights of cotton. This is cotton poplin. And it's a nice, lightweight cotton. It doesn't stretch. It's nice and firm, but it'll soften up. It's a maker called Rose and Hubble, which is very dear to me because the first thing I ever made, the first fabric I ever bought, was some Rose and Hubble, and I still have a scrap of that fabric from a skirt I made, and I'll be 60 next year, and I was 16 at the time, so you can do the maths. Anyway, Rose and Hubble isn't too expensive. I'll explain about weights, and then I'll explain about measurements, weights and measures. Then you have something. This is possibly called either quilting cotton or craft cotton. Something. Hang on a minute. Let me find the right. It's hard to say which is the right way. It's frozen, as you can see. And this is a bag I started making for Serafina yesterday. Then I realised, by the time I'd spent so long on the internet trying to find out the right measurements for the ribbons, I then screwed everything up. I'd started putting the wrong type of ribbon in, and the more I spend on the internet, the less brain I have for anything else. This has got a very slight stretch, but it's still 100% cotton, and as long as it doesn't stretch in both directions, you're okay. If it stretches across the width, that's not a bad thing for the bio bags, or drainage bags, whatever they're called, because, you know, I don't know how much liquid they have to hold. So that's not a bad thing if it's got a little stretch. This is I think it's called a quilting weight, but it's ever so nice, really soft. Then I have, so you have cotton poplin, which might be called dress fabric or shirting, and quilting cotton and craft cotton. Don't go for curtaining or home furnishings. It'll be too heavy. It'll be just too thick, and usually the pattern is too big as well to use. So we have 100% cotton. Now, when I was a girl, you bought it by the yard, or nowadays they call it a metre. And if you wanted a quarter of a metre is 100 centimetres long, 100 centimetres. It's 100 centimetres, isn't it? It's 100 centimetres. But fabric is usually about 112, 114, can be 115, 116, but it's usually about 112, call it 112 metres wide. So when I was a girl, you'd get a quarter of a metre. A quarter of 100 is 25 centimetres, and which I know is 10 inches. And then you get 112 centimetres, so you get a long, thin strip. Nowadays, what's become very popular is something called fat quarters. And when these first came out, I didn't even know what an FQ was. It all kept saying FQs, and I had to Google it, what's an FQ? And I got some very rude things until I found out that it's a metre of fabric cut already, and then they cut it into four like that way. So instead of getting a long thin piece, which is now called a running quarter or skinny quarter, you get a fat quarter, which is still a quarter of a metre, but it will be 50 centimetres up and down and 56 centimetres across. So that's your 50 centimetres is half of the 100, and the 56 is half of the 112. So that's your fat quarter. And that's how I buy a lot of my fabrics. I buy metre fabrics for my backgrounds. If I'm doing something with a background, like these wiggly bags for September, superheroes and gold month, etc., then I'll buy these background fabrics, stars, etc. But I have lots of these. I buy these. They're not too expensive, and you don't know how much I've got or what colours I've got. So if you're being generous enough to offer to buy me some fabric, what I would really like is if you could buy me a fat quarter. Now, I get 2 bile bags out of a fat quarter. I get 8 wiggly bags, only 2 bile bags. This is a bile bag I started making yesterday for Serafina, and it'll go to what's her name, Matilda instead. And if you can see, this is a little wiggly bag, and although it looks doesn't look quite half that, if I put 4 on, you'll be able to see these haven't been sewn yet. These are waiting to be sewn. You can see that a bile bag is 4 times as big as wiggly bags. These are waiting to be sewn, so they'll be slightly smaller when they're sewn because they'll have the hems taken. But basically you get 4, I don't know if I can do that, 4 wiggly bags onto a bile bag. So, for Post Pals, I've now got 4 children wanting bile bags. There's Isla J, who I've been making them for a year or two, a couple of years. Matilda, who I've been making them since last Christmas. Anusha, who I've made a couple for, but I've never heard back from her mum how they are, and I've got so much on at the moment, I'm not going to inquire anymore. I've already asked her twice. And Rowan. They've asked me to make some for Rowan. I'm happy with all of those, but it uses a lot of fabric. So I bought this fat quarter, this frozen one that says Joyful. I bought this back in April, May time, before I knew about Anusha. It's a Christmas fabric, but it was on offer at the time on Oh So Crafty, and I thought I'll only need 1 fat quarter, and I should have obviously got a 1/2 metre, because 1 fat quarter will do me 2, 1/2 metre will do me 4. But this is the really, really fabulous thing about a fat quarter that I'm going to show you now, if I possibly can. I always wanted to be on Blue Peter, you know. So if I have this much, I fold the fabric over. What I need for a fat quarter, as I said, is 50 centimetres by 56 centimetres. Now, what I need for my bile bags is I need 25 centimetres up and down, and 9.5 inches or 9 inches across. My husband drives him mad. Can't bear it. He can't bear that I mix and match my measurements, but I do. And I can't find my nice glasses, so I'm going to have to do my best with the other ones. My nice ones are purple. 22 centimetres. So when I have a fat quarter, I can get my bile bag there, and there's another one I'm doing for, what's her name, Serafina, that I got a bit wrong. I don't know if this will show. And you can see that there's a bit of fabric left over, so I'll turn that over. I now have 4 pictures left over, 4 or 5 pictures left over on the side there, which can become the front of a wiggly bag, like that bell. It's too spaced out for me to get using economically for making wiggly bags, but because the bile bag is bigger, this design is okay. But then I'll cut out the extra little Annas and Elsas. I'll cut round them, and like I've done with Belle, and applique it onto some star fabric, and it'll look really pretty. I'll do that for Christmas time. So a couple of those will go to Izzy Hopper, and the others will go to Bristol. Now then, so the images on a fat quarter, or a 1/2 metre. My wiggly, I never make anything without thinking what I can make with the leftovers, and that's everything in life. That's whether I'm making, whether my husband's making food, making a meal, or whether I'm doing sewing or whatever. I always think, what can I do with the leftovers? So I think of the leftovers first and then cut. Whereas my sister, who went into teaching when she was sort of 21, will put something in the middle of the fabric and never mind the waste. Well, I'm the other way round. I lived on income support for many years. If I wasn't 50 before, I was afterwards. So my wiggly bags end up 10 centimetres square. So I don't want my central image any more than, oh look, I've got to take measure with both. I don't want the central image any more than 7, 8 centimetres at the most in either direction. Anything from 5 centimetres to 7 is fine. Now, what I've got for Rowan, I'm all right for fabrics at the moment. I'm telling you this because I'm all right for fabrics at the moment. I've got enough for Rowan's to do him for, to start him off. And I've made 4 for Serafina, the drying there in the cupboard. I'll send you a photo of those. This is some fabric I got in. This is the kind of stuff that I really love, because if you can see, there's lots of different images. Trick or treat, spooky, and there's one saying monster. You can't quite see it there. Yellow one saying monster. So I'll make Rowan a bag, and it'll be about that sort of size, won't it? When that's how I start with. That'll be Rowan's bag. But then I can cut out the yellow monster, the purple monster, the spooky, the trick or treat, and the bats and stuff to put on wiggly bags for the Halloween wiggly bag. So that's a really nice piece of fabric for me. This is a nice waist. This is a cotton poplin. And it doesn't really matter which way up you have it because there's writing all the way round. So that's really good. And by cutting out those little symbols, by having a fabric with 4 or 5 different symbols, I can get lots and lots of different wiggly bags out of them because I use different coloured backs, and then I'll put a different coloured applique on it. So I've got that for Rowan. I've got plenty of that. I think it's a big fat quarter. You see what I mean? Like a big fat Greek wedding. The fabric was wider than 112 centimetres is what I'm trying to say. So that's a nice big fat quarter. Cotton poplin. This is another one. And I'm going to do this for Rowan. I think he'll want more than one of these. I think he'll want 2. So this, because he likes Marvel comics, and his favourite colour is red. So this is absolutely fabulous. You've got 9 different images. So when I do Rowan a bag, I can get 2 bags out of up and down. Very tight cutter, the lady who sent me this, unfortunately. She didn't send me 20 inches, which is what I think of as a half a metre. She only sent me 18 and a half, nearly 19. So that's a bit tight. However, it'll be a bit like that. And you can see that I can then get lots of different pictures for wiggly bag fronts. And each of those squares is 7 centimetres up and down, 6.5, 7 centimetres. Some of the characters, the boots, go into the other square, but I'm just going to have to cut through those and just cut around the white squares. Isla W. loves superheroes. She's one of the only girls on thing who doesn't like pink and purple and princesses and unicorns. She likes superheroes and animals and sea creatures and red. So it's brilliant. I'm having a great time with Isla because every time I see, any fabric, elephants, think, ooh, that'll do for Isla. Dolphins, that'll do for Isla. Superheroes, that'll do for Isla. Ooh, superhero tape. So there we go. So that is really good. So I've got this superhero and I've got this monster. So that's brilliant. So I'm okay for what's his name at the moment, Rowan. And I've got some black moustache fabric. It's just black with the white Movember moustache. So he'll get that later. And he'll also get a red star bag. I'll show you what I mean with like this, but bigger obviously, with a Batman tape across the front. So if you will, a mixture of those 2, Batman tape on red stars. Then I got some black mini stars, and he'll have a Spider-Man tape. So that will be his 4, the Marvel, the spooky, the Batman, and the Spider-Man to start off with. And then in a few weeks' time, I've got this. This is fabulous. This is glow in the dark cat astronauts. Now when I do my wiggly bags, I do them for ages from 2 to 16. And so they have to be images that will suit all ages. And some are more suited to older than younger. So if I've got, like Frozen, I'm not going to put a really long ribbon on that because that's only going to be for a little girl up to about 7 or 8. But the cat ones, I could do these from, a short ribbon for a 2-year-old, or I could do a long ribbon for an 18-year-old. They do actually have 18-year-olds on that board. If you have enough, I don't know what you're going to find, but what would be most useful to me, I have got tons and tons and tons of fabric, so it's no use you second guessing me, but what would be most useful if you could get me I just feel really awful asking this. I just feel really awful. But a half a metre of girly fabric, princesses, or I've got some unicorns here. I thought they were bigger head unicorns. This is the trouble about buying online. You don't always get a tape measure, so you can't see how big they are. But those are very little unicorns. They are very, very little. They're only, what's that in the, that's 1.5 inches. They're, about 3 centimetres. So they don't make great appliques on the wiggly bags. I have used a few, but I have to cut around a lot of purple as well, put fancy stuff on. But it makes a lovely, lovely bio bag. And it's beautiful cotton. Really, really soft. It has a bit of a stretch, but as I said before, that doesn't matter. As long as it's not t-shirty stretch. But if you could get me a half a metre of something girly, because then the two Islas, Anusha and Serafina, I could get them a bag each. That would be fantastic. And if you can't do that, a fat quarter will do, because at least then I can get 2 more, because as it is for Christmas, I can only get two bio bags out of that. But I have got Bambi fabric that I'll use for one of them, and one of them will get this unicorn, because it's quite I think it's quite Christmassy. It's got lots of little stars. So it's wintry. So if you could get me a half a metre of a girly fabric, cotton poplin, which is Bose & Hubble. I think this is about 125 a quarter of a metre, fat quarter. Whereas this is something called Timeless Treasures, or it might be Michael Miller or Riley Blake. They tend to be about £3.50 a fat quarter. And this is why I'm hesitating to ask, because that's a lot of money. But if you could, and if you can't, it really, really doesn't matter. A fat quarter of this, or half a metre of something like this would be fabulous instead. And as I say, this is 125 or 135 a fat quarter. I only got half a metre. I made Lottie a PE bag, and I needed some little wiggly bags. But I didn't know how big the rainbows were, so I didn't want to order a metre and then find it wasn't good enough, or it was too big, or too little, whatever. So I got a half a metre, and of course now I don't actually have enough to do the bio bags, unless I make 2 separate squares, which I could do, but I still only get 1. But they do that in grey and they do it in white, so I might get some of that. But if you could get me a half a metre of girly, that would be fabulous, or a quarter of a metre of something superhero-y or Star Wars would be, or Lego. I know Rowan likes Lego. Well, it says he does on his site. I don't know how out of date that is. But Lego things are quite good. And this would be my absolute favourite. If you could get me a half a metre of girly stuff and a quarter of a metre of glow in the dark, then I could make really nice. I could make, what's his name? Rowan, another bag for another bio bag, but I could make lots of really nice wiggly bags. I had some glow in the dark fat quarters a couple of years ago, and one was it was turquoise, and it was all eyes and teeth, and it made great backgrounds. When it's all the same pattern all over, I can only get 2 bags for the hospital out of that, because the kids are in hospital together a long time. They don't all want to be the same, they all want to be different. So I can only get 2 bags and use different colours. But it would make a great background fabric, or something like this with the images that I can cut round. Then I can put it on one of my star backgrounds. The ward I sent is called Starlight, so there's a bit of a theme going on here. Now these cats are absolutely amazing, and these measure 8 centimetres by 6.5. But you've got quite a lot of cats to the fat quarter. I mean, I can't count those up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I don't know, there's about 20 cats. It's whereas I got a fat quarter of Beauty and the Beast for our lovely little pal Matilda, because it's nearly her birthday and I'm her gifter, as you know. And I've made her some bunting, which I can't show you because I've washed it and washed in here. But I got a fat quarter and I phoned the company up and asked them to measure how big Belle was and how many I got to a fat quarter. And disappointing few. I needed 7 appliques for the bunting. I'll show you a photo of the bunting. And by the time I'd taken a bile bag out, it only left me with 4 or 5, which are going on, as I've shown you here, going on the front of a bag. Because the problem is, although it's not much bigger than the cat, you see the cats, or the monsters, or the doodahs, superheroes, these are all tightly packed together, so it's no wasted fabric. Whereas this, I don't know if you can see it through the glare of the plastic bag, there's lots of blue in between Belle, so it's a bit scrunched into the plastic bag, to be honest. It's probably better on this side. So you only get four pieces of Belle. I don't know if you can see. Where it isn't blue is a Belle. So there's one here, and then there's a red one, yellow one, and one in the corner. So you don't get many. So if you're getting a fat quarter with images, see if they're a bit more closely packed, so that I can cut round them, but you're not wasting loads of background fabric. So that's it. So to recap, I'll show you another. You see, this is a unicorn fabric, but they're too far apart to actually do a wiggly bag. By the time you fold it over, you're missing some unicorns and cutting them off. It's okay for a bile bag, but what I mainly use something like this for is the appliques, because as I say, I can get lots. Last year I sent more than 400 wiggly bags out. So, you know, that's an awful lot of wiggly bags. So doing an applique, although it takes me a long time, it means I can do a theme. I always do a theme every month, but I can make them around a theme, but each one different. So I send them to Bristol Children's Hospital. And in Bristol every August they have a hot air balloon fiesta. So it's become a bit of a thing that I do hot air balloons. And I found some fabulous little cloud fabric for the backgrounds I've been looking for the last 3 or 4 years. I've been looking for something like this that I could afford that looked like clouds. And it was clouds rather than just using spots. And then I cut balloons out of the star fabric that you've seen. I cut them out of stars and then baskets out of something else. Or I cut them out of, what did I cut them out of? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I'd probably have to show you. But stripes and spots, and some of them had pirate flags on, and some of them had a unicorn in the middle. That little tiny unicorn that I showed you. They look really good on the balloons. Actually, these little unicorns look fabulous on the balloons. Some of them had what did they have? Really can't remember. Anyway, so I did balloons, hot air balloons. It took me ages because, you know, I had to cut the balloon out of something, and then I had to put the pirate flag or whatever, or the thingy on the balloon, and then I had to iron that onto some backing, and then stitch it onto the bag, and then I had to do the same with the basket. So they took a long time before I could put the ribbons in. Whereas September, which I should have got made by now, and I'm only just on pinning, is just going to be tapes. It's going to be superhero tapes. But I do a theme. So, you know, when it was, I did a lot of alphabet this year. January, so I did Jigsaws and Jasmine and Jurassic, which meant lots of dinosaurs, and Jedi Warriors, which meant lots of Star Wars. And in February I did films, so there was Frozen and all sorts of different films going on there. And next year I've actually ordered. I ordered back in June, but it wasn't coming until August. I've ordered some Guess How Much I Love You fabric, and that is really expensive. But it's going to be beautiful. I don't think I'll be able to do bile bags out of it, but it's for my wigglies really. Because February is the month of love, so I thought that would be really nice. So that's it. Recap, I'm ever so sorry, I'm rambling on. Cotton poplin, a flat quarter, or a half a metre, please. If you could get anything glow in the dark, obviously not cats because I've got them, or something along the superhero Star Wars thing, preferably with lots of different things going on. I've got a pale Star Wars one, and it's got some little orangey round machiney things and a bit of writing. I don't know what these things are. It's not that great. I can't get it. It's on my sewing table. My slate's gone away. But anything, obviously not this one because I've already got it, but anything sort of superhero-y or glow in the dark or princessy girly unicorny would be fabulous. Don't spend lots of money. You know, one piece would be amazing. And I'm not in a hurry. I've got everything planned. I haven't got you my Christmas fabrics to show you apart from this one, but I've got some amazing Father Christmas fabric, and he's on a desert island. Sometimes he's in a hammock, and sometimes he's in a lilo, drinking out of a pineapple, and there's Rudolph, and he's surfing. And I got those a couple of years ago for Christmas. I haven't done them for the last couple of years, so I thought I'd redo them this year. And then my nurse in Bristol told me that their 18-year-old boy was wearing his in the summer, and I thought, I was really touched he was still wearing it. He'd been given it more than a year and a half ago. He's still wearing it. So I actually did Rudolph in the summer. I didn't put Father Christmas because I am not doing Father Christmas in July. I am not. But so I've got those which went down the storm. I thought all those kids would have moved on by now, but they haven't. But they don't have to have a bag if they don't want it. So I've got my Christmas one sorted, and as I said, I've got my September one sorted. And had I remembered about these Marvel ones, I'd have done some of those, but I'm just doing tapes. October, I'm going to do magic and mystery. So we'll have what will we have? What have I got? Oh, I'm going to do and monsters. So I've got monster fabric, and I've got a few glow in the dark monsters still. They're not very big, but they're lovely. So I'll probably do something along the witchy line and Halloweeny type things. But I always do some for kids who don't celebrate these celebrations. So at Christmas time, I'll always do some winter animals or something like that. November I could do with some more glow in the dark because I'm going to do the night sky. So I'm going to do the cats and anything else I can lay my hands on. One thing I haven't said is the actual images. I'll get away with this spooky one having the odd skull here and there. And I don't mind pirate skull and crossbones, but you can't have a full skeleton. I got some fabulous skeletons, pirate skeletons surfing, and the nurse said no, couldn't use that. So no death images and no food. See, this is the thing, my sister sent me some with strawberries on, which I did use one wiggly bag for Izzy Hopper because I knew she ate, but a lot of the kids aren't in hospital on cancer treatments, aren't eating. And of course the children on bile bags aren't eating. And although Isla cooks and likes making things, and so does Rowan, unless I get asked by the parents to do one with buns or ice creams on, I'm not going to. I'm going to stick to the hospital guidelines, which is no death images, no food, and obviously nothing political. So that's it. I'll Facebook message you my email address, my home address rather. Anyway, I'd be ever so grateful, but no rush. And if you prefer not to, that's fine. And it's just if you stumble across something. One thing I haven't got much of, I'm going to try and get is, I've noticed Serafina likes yellow. Now this sounds really, really, really wimpish, but I can't help it. Since Little Ebony died, I haven't bought any yellow fabric because I associate pink and yellow with ebony, and I haven't bought any more. So I've got some dark yellow spots, but I haven't bought any yellow girly. stuff. But I'm sorry. But what was I going to say? I know I can get some yellow daisy fabric from Oso Craft, so I can do that. What was I going to say? God knows. I think I've said far too much. Oh dear me. Oh, this is. I'll just show you this while I'm trying to think. This is a poly cotton I was doing for Serafina yesterday. It is soft, but I don't really want you to buy into poly cottons because it is hit and miss, and I don't normally use them. But I don't think Serafina wears hers. Hers are tied to her wheelchair. So I was doing this with 2 princess tapes and what they call French seams. So you start on the outside and then you turn it in. I forgot to put the ribbons in, so I've made a real cock up of that. So I'll have to rescue that another time. If you send me some fabric, fold it as flat as you can. You might need to iron it. If it's glow in the dark, you need to iron it inside out or through a cloth, otherwise you'll lose all the doodah. But you'll get it into a large letter. You'll get quite a few into a large letter if you do it flat. And I'm sure you know the large letter measurements. My husband, bless him, has made me a large letter gauge, so I know I can. I have all the postal prices, which I'm sure you do, and a load of different stamps, which I know you do. And then I have these gauges, so I will do my best to shove it through. If necessary, if necessary, the carer used to sort of squish it against her chest and put a pin mark point in it, squished it against her chest before she gave it over at the post office. I'm a monkey, and also I do my best to get it under the weight things. If something is going to be 105 grams, I'm sorry, I'm not spending another £1 whatever for that 5 grams. I will cut a bit of envelope off, and I'll take anything out that I can to get it to 99. I am mean, or as my friend Jean likes to call it, thrifty and economical. But like you, I just do a hell of a lot of posting. Anyway, so that's it. I'm incredibly touched by your offer, and I'm not expecting anything. I think you do far, far more than anyone else already, and I think you do an awful lot, and it's an expensive business. But if you ever stumble across anything, like I say, princessy, unicorny, or superhero glow in the dark, I'd be very grateful. That quarter would be fabulous. But don't bother getting me background fabrics because I just buy my own. I've got stars, spots, stripes, and I got some really lovely mini mushroom one for earlier on in the year that I did for gardens, and it was lovely because I could put fairies on. I did gardens. Everyone knows there's fairies at the bottom of the garden. So I did a fairy appliques, and then I did some butterfly appliques, and that was lovely. So I'm okay for those. I just don't have anything yellow, but I think I'll probably buy something yellow soon. So that's it, my dear. I'm sorry it's taken me such a long time, but I'm quite impressed with myself that I've managed to do it in bed. I hope you have a good day, and thank you very much. And I must say this to you, and it's just private between you and me. I think you are doing an absolutely amazing job with the monthly projects. I know Becky was busy as a doctor, and that was the problem. She was too busy to actually be able to do the monthly projects like the rest of us want to do it. A lot of us are ill, and we have to plan our shopping, and we have to plan what we're wanting to do. And I know the other year she wasn't giving out the even mooting the next year's themes until after Christmas. Well, I have to buy in the sales, I can't, I have to buy things in the sales, and I have to buy things, online so I have to allow for them to come in. And there would always be the end of the month, the 28th of the month, and still be 10 students, 10 pals hadn't been assigned. And now with you, they're assigned before the month starts. You've got July and half of August sorted before July started. You're absolutely amazing. And I hope it doesn't tire you out too much, but I think it's really fabulous how you do it. Anyway, I've done stories for little ones online. I haven't done them for ages because I can't get to the library to get another book. But I bought a couple recently, so I should be able to do that. I always used to say, catch the kisses. Have you caught them? So see you soon. Thank you, Bev. Bye.